Awesome. So, hello and welcome everyone to the Eagles Character Playbook Live Celebration. My name is Michael Banks, and I am the Manager Director here at the United Way in Philadelphia. And I'm joined today with two very special guests from the Philadelphia Eagles. We're reaching out to all the Eagles country today and wishing everyone health and safety as we get started on the new school year together. The event today is all about character, and maybe it's something you heard about, and hopefully everyone has had a chance to complete the Eagles Character Playbook program. Character is all about who you are and what you are about. They also say that character is who you are when no one else is watching. We want you to see character as a muscle you can build and skills that you can learn starting right now. We welcome everyone to this conversation today and hope you will learn something to use in your life starting at this moment. Also, we would love to hear from you today. There's nothing worse than being in one of these conversations and everyone's afraid to ask questions or to make a comment. So I am encouraging you on behalf of United Way and the Eagles to please join in this conversation. So with that being said, we're going to get started today, and I would love to welcome in our guests, first starting with Sean, and then moving right over to Gabriella. So I'm going to mute myself and allow them to introduce themselves to you today. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Sean Landetta. I used to play for the Eagles. I played 5 years for the Eagles. I also played for 3 other teams, but loved my 5 years there. And I still live in the Pennsylvania area, the Philadelphia area, from Baltimore, Maryland originally. And it's great to be here speaking with you today.
And hi, everyone. My name is Gabriella. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader. I am a resident of New Jersey, have been a cheerleader for the last 3 years. And I'm super excited to be here with you guys today to talk about life and how to make good choices.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we want to thank a few people who support and make the Character Playbook program possible. Of course, start with the United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey, and also to everyone's favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Additionally, we would like to thank the teachers and the students for logging in today to share and impart of this important message. So now, folks, we're going to move into the fun part. We're moving into part 1 of our program today, which will be the poll questions. And for the first part of this event, we want to ask you, the students, some questions. These questions will pop up on your screen very shortly. And there's no right or wrong answer, but just a few things to get you thinking about character and why it matters. That being said, the most important question is, are you ready? So we're now moving to question number 1, which I can't see, but I'm assuming is on your screens. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Give you a few seconds to respond to that, and then we'll tabulate the answers and see what we come up with. True or false? My character is something I think about on a regular basis. And please share your thoughts as well. Wish I had the Jeopardy sound with me. It would be great. Awesome. So it looks like we have 100% rating of true. My character is something that I think about on a regular basis. Although we would love to see more response. It looks as if we have 3 here. So please, if you're having trouble with your technology or with the questions themselves, please let someone know so we can make sure that everyone is engaged. All right, so we're going to now move into the next question. And with this question, in addition to you all answering the question, we're also going to ask our special guests, both Sean and Gabriella, to also chime in on this poll question. So true or false? I feel like I belong or belonged at my school for our guests.
Did I belong at school? I did find my way. I think that it took me a little bit to find things that I enjoyed, that I liked, that I eventually got involved with, that helped me feel like I belonged.
You know, I felt like I belonged at my school. I was lucky to have a lot of friends that grew up in my neighborhood that we all knew for years. So we went to school together. So we kind of had a little built-in, setup where people we knew and we felt comfortable with. So fortunately, when I look at this question, I'm happy to say that, yes, I did feel like I belonged.
Yeah, and according to the participants, it looks as if everyone else agrees with you both in that they feel as if they belong to their school. So moving right along, we're going to go into question 3. We'll do the same format. I'll read the question. We'll ask both Sean and Gabriella to give some feedback on the question, and I will go silent after reading the question. I know how to make others feel included. This is a really good one, and I'll go silent.
My friends would say that I am the biggest supporter. I love making others feel included. You know, when we get new rookies on the team, I'm the first one that brings them in and makes them feel like they belong. So I would definitely say that I know how to make others feel included.
You know, I was the same way. I was a veteran like you are. And a lot of times when the young players would come to camp, I'd always try and reach out and say hello and tell them if they need anything, let me know. And I've always tried to include my friends and people because it fosters a good feeling and usually creates positive situations.
Yeah, and you always remember you were a rookie once, you know, you were that person. So it's always nice to remember how you felt and what you would have wanted from those veterans or those people that have been there for a while.
No, that's very true. One of the greatest things I hear is when I run into former teammates and they'll remind me all these years later that, you know, when I was young, you were always real nice to me when everybody else might not have been. And it's really nice that they remember that years later.
Yeah.
Awesome. And looking at the poll, it looks as if 67% of you agree with both Sean and Gabrielle again. So we're 3 for 3 here, folks. So at this time, we're going to get ready to move into the second part of our conversation today, which is actually conversation. I'm going to talk to both Sean and Gabrielle. I'll cue them up with regards to the question. And we're going to start this portion of the conversation by talking about, learning a little bit about each of you, where you grew up, what you were interested in while growing up, and what put you on the path of your success. So this time we're going to flip the order around. We're going to start with Gabriella, and then we hand it off to Sean.
Sure. So I grew up in a town, Delran, New Jersey. If anyone's familiar, Carly Lloyd, the American soccer player, she's from the same town as me. I always had a big interest in science and the arts. You know, I tried sports. They were never really my thing, even though I loved watching football. I was never really good at the sports. I tried all of them. Like you name it, I tried it. And it was never really my thing. So I found a love for dance and theater. So I actually got involved in the musicals at school and band. I actually played the saxophone for a long time. And then with the science aspect, I really fell in love with nursing as a career. So now I currently work as a full-time registered nurse on top of being a cheerleader. So I kind of found my niche in science and the arts, and I get to combine them both now as an adult, and I'm living a great life.
Well, congratulations on that. It's so nice to see you've been able to find success and do things that you love and have them both be a part of your life moving forward. That's great. I was similar to you when I was younger as far as finding something I really loved. And for me, it was sports. For whatever reason, sports were something I always liked to do and came easy to me. And there's so many different sports that we were all playing them all the time when I grew up. And, you know, I was just fortunate to have the ability to play football at a level where you could play in high school and then college and in the pros. Because, you know, a lot of that is God given. I mean, we all practice, we all want to be good, but sometimes things come easier to you than others. And I was fortunate to be able to play well enough to play in the NFL. So, you know, very lucky to do what I love and have gotten the opportunity. And now that I'm a retired player, to still be involved is really great, especially doing things like this.
That's awesome. And thank you both so much for sharing your responses. Now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of these questions to learn a little bit more about your perspective on character and belonging. And this time around, Sean, we're going to start with you. And the question that I have for you both will be, what is your definition of character? And what is a simple way to show good character in your own words?
Well, character is pretty much the way you act. I think it's also, it's a state of mind, the way you think. We've all heard the phrase, you want to be a good person. And we've all heard the phrase, try to do the right thing. And most of the time, I think most of us do. Life's not always perfect. Sometimes we have to make decisions in a split second that if we look back, we might have done something different. But for the most part, if you have a good heart and most of the things you try to do are good, I think everybody will see that. And that's really important, because if you're that kind of person, usually the world will be nice to you. What I mean by that is people will want to be around you. People will want to help you. And that's a nice feeling to know that you're included in things. And so much of that really just has to do with how you act and the things you do as a person. So it's always important to try to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that character is a lot of how you feel, how you think, how you act. I think a big thing is being kind to one another, whether they're the same as you or different from you. I think that's the biggest character that you like, the biggest piece of a character that you can have. I think what makes the world such a beautiful place is how different everyone is and how we can all come together. And if we all have those good, positive qualities that come with having a good character, I think it could be like really great.
That's awesome. Thank you both. And before I move into the next question, I want to re-encourage everyone that is logged in to please ask questions. Maybe something pops into your mind as both Gabriella and Sean are responding. This conversation is not just for us. This conversation is also for you. So please feel free to ask any question that you like hey, why you like the color green? If whatever the question is, we just want to make sure that you're engaged and that you know that this conversation is for you. So with that being said, we're going to move into question number 2, which is, how can we make a difference no matter where we are? And how can we make a difference in our schools and communities starting right now? So we'll flip the order again. We'll start with Gabriella and then
I think that kind of flips back to the I think it kind of flips back to the being kind to one another thing. You might have a classmate that you don't really know, you don't really talk to, you don't know anything about them really, what goes on in their outside life or anything like that. So just being kind to one another, I think, is the biggest takeaway that I can give.
No, that's very true. I mean, everyone likes to be around people that are polite, friendly, positive. Nobody wants to be around somebody that is negative and always has something negative to say. And I think we all understand that. And as I said before, people will want to gravitate or be around you or include you so many times in life, whether it's your friends, whether it's school, whether it's work. And it just comes down to being a good person and trying to be a good friend. And we all know how to do that.
Yeah.
And those are amazing responses. And I'll jump in just really briefly about, how do you make a difference no matter where you are? And I think being consistent, I think that's one of the things that, is really important when it comes to character, like being a consistent individual. And I think when people see us being consistent, no matter the space or whatever we're going through, particularly if you're having a hard time, all of those things, I believe, really speak to our character. And it helps not only the places that we are a part of better, but it makes the people that we're around better. Because one thing I've learned through life is you never know the type of influence that you can have on somebody else that you don't even are even aware is watching you, watching how you act, watching how you speak, watching how you conduct yourself. So all of those things are critically important. Now we're going to move into question 3, which I really like a lot. And this is not a question that we've done in the past, but I think is really timely for the environment that we find ourselves in today. And so that question, and we'll start with you, Sean, is, do you think what you're doing today on social media will have an impact on your future?
Well, that's interesting. I'm probably one of the few people out there. I don't have a Facebook page. I don't have Instagram. I don't have Twitter. I'm kind of old school that way, but those are great mediums if they're used properly. And so many people are affected positively and negatively by what they do on those social media platforms. And you really have to be careful on one hand with what you say and put out there. But on the other hand, you can do so much good if you use it positively, because so many people can see it. And it's really a great vehicle for that. So no question, the social media platform is huge. And if used properly, it can do so many great things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do use social media to, with my friends and post pictures with my friends and things like that. But I also do use it to spread awareness. You know, as a nurse, like right now with COVID-19 and all of those things, there's research out there that people don't know about, and I like to use my social media to put that awareness out there, to put that information out there positively. I think social media is a huge thing, and like Sean said, if it's used correctly, I think it can make a huge difference.
Absolutely, and thank you both. And one of the things that I really hope that we all take away from this conference, particularly as it comes to social media, and I can tell you as a person that has the responsibility of hiring people, one of the very first things that a hiring manager does, or any organization will do, they will put your name into Google or whatever search engine of their choice, and they're going to see what you're really about. Because it's one thing to show up in an interview in a suit and tie, but it's another thing to have a different image of yourself that you're projecting to the world that can ultimately come back to hurt you. And that's one of the things that I think is really critical for us to think about as we position ourselves for the future. Because I can guarantee you, if Sean would have done some things when he was younger and put some things out there he may have been ashamed of, his punting opportunities to play for all the various teams they did, including our team, the Eagles, probably would not have come to fruition. The same thing for Gabriella. If she's putting something out there that's not a reflection of who she is, when she's going through that tryout against all those individuals that are competing for her job, that'll be the one thing that can literally hurt her from an opportunity that she has today to speak about her experience with everyone. So that being said, we're going to move into question number 4. What does it mean to belong, and how can we make others feel like they belong? So I'll let either one of you take that question first, and then the other could jump right in.
So I actually did find a quote that I really liked, and it was, belonging doesn't require us to change who we are, it requires us to be who we are. I feel like belonging is kind of you getting into this place where you feel comfortable. I feel like you become a part of something while being true to yourself, I feel like is what belonging means. And how can we help others feel like they belong? If we're referring to school, acknowledge someone's presence. If you're walking down the hallway and see someone you don't really say hi to often, just say hello. Like, acknowledge that they're there, that they exist. Maybe share stories with one another. You might realize that you have something in common that you didn't know before that might make you feel like, wow, like I do have similarities with people. I'm not alone. Things like that, I feel like, can help you feel like you belong.
No, that's very well said. Everyone wants to feel like they belong, and we all know everyone's different, and there are certain places we will fit in better than others. And I think it's important to recognize that and realize that, it's okay if I don't maybe belong over here because these people like to do different things than me. It doesn't mean they're bad or you're bad. We're all different. I think being able to identify what you like, who you are, and to find people that think and act like you certainly make the belonging thing work much better.
Yeah, and I feel like that might take some time. Like how I said, I tried all of these sports and I was like, none of this is working for me. And then I joined the dance team in high school and I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. Like, this makes sense. So you might not know it right away, but don't not try. Like, I would try different things, see what you like, what you don't like, and you'll learn more about yourself that way.
And this is not on the question, but I just want to throw this to both of you because I think that it will be helpful. Even in your professions that you're currently in or have been in, Sean, you kind of alluded to it earlier with regards to, making individuals belong. Can you maybe either one of you share maybe a story or an example of maybe someone coming into the cheerleading squad or trying to join onto the team and something you may have shared with them that you believe helped them feel as if they belong?
So this actually happened recently with our new rookies this year. We get assigned what we call life partners. So the rookies get assigned to a veteran to help them get through, rookie year. It's a lot to learn, a lot to process. So we're there to help them along. And the rookie that I was assigned to, she was having a tough time, not just with practice and with everything that comes with being an Eagles cheerleader. She was having a tough time in her personal life as well. And I could see it on her face, and I knew she wasn't being open and wasn't sharing. So I decided that I was going to share personal things about myself. And it ended up that we actually were going through the same struggles. And it actually made her feel 1,000 times better, and that she knew that she could come to me with things and she could trust me.
Awesome. Thank you. Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had a few similar situations like that when I was playing. Training camp, those 6 weeks of training camp are the toughest 6 weeks of a player's life because every year, very much similar to the cheerleaders, you have to make the team every year. You're just not going to be there. You have to go and win your job. And that's very stressful, and especially for the young guys, because in college, they were the best. Now you come to the pros, and all of a sudden, there's guys that are 30 years old, grown men, great players that you have to compete with. And a lot of times it was amazing how, if you just said one little positive thing, or you reached out to somebody and let him know that you had something in common with him, as you mentioned, Gabriella, just in a blink of an eye, just changed their whole attitude that, wow, this guy who's a veteran, he went through this too. It's not just me, because there's a lot of pride involved too. And when people are proud, which most of us are, sometimes we don't want to admit or share things, which we shouldn't be afraid to do. But once someone else reaches out and mentions, hey, I'm in the same boat you are, or I was, it really makes things easier to navigate. And that's really great that you did that for your rookie teammate. And she'll always be grateful for that. That's great.
Oh, no, that is awesome. And thank you both for sharing that. Now, students, we have one question left for the pros. And after the question for the pros, we're going to shift to your questions. So make sure you get your questions into the chat box. We're going to get through as many as we can. It looks as if we have about 4 or 5 at the moment. But this is the 5th and final question for this segment of the program. And then we're going to shift to your questions. So please, while the questions are being answered by the pros, feel free to throw some into the chat. So the 5th and final question for our guests today: how do you select your friends? And what is your definition of a good friend? Now, I'm not going to put anybody on the spot because this was a little bit trickier. So whoever feels the most ready, feel free to jump in and answer the question.
I can go. So what I look for in a friend, I do look for similar interests. But I do also have friends, like if I'm going back to my love for dancing and theater, I do have friends that were into that. They were playing sports and all those things in high school, but they were supportive of me. And what I mean by that is that they came to my shows, they came to my competitions, and they were there for me and had my back. So that was something that left an impression on me, that even though it wasn't something that was in their wheelhouse, they still were there for me as a friend. I also think that your friends should treat you kindly. They shouldn't, be making fun of you and like maybe considering it a joke, but like they should be kind to you. And someone that you actually really think you can trust. I think trust is a big thing.
That's very well said. And you said something there that I have said for years and years, that, there's this phrase, oh, I'm just kidding. And it's kind of an easy out because it allows a lot of people sometimes to say things that aren't nice or friendly. And they say, oh, I'm just kidding. And that's supposed to make it okay. Well, it doesn't make it okay. And as you said before, friends should always talk to friends in positive, good ways. I've never believed just because I'm your friend, that makes it okay for me to say these things to you. And it shouldn't be that way. And the more awareness and the more that's talked about, I think it'll be more like that. But we all want to have friends. We all want to have people we communicate well with and have things in common with. And 90% of that is just how we talk to each other and treat each other. But being a good friend, means being positive, being helpful. And, as you said before, the way you treat people is the most important thing.
Oh, that's so awesome. So we're going to shift now. And it looks as if I currently have about 5 questions in the chat. And we'll just jump in and answer the questions in no specific order. But we have question number 1 from Aaron, it looks like. How does one keep their own character positive? A lot of times people might face something that makes them move away from good character. Excellent and deep question, Aaron.
Okay, that's a great question. An example I can use is being a nurse during the pandemic. It was really hard for me to keep a positive attitude. I'm normally a super happy, bubbly, energetic person. And it was a really rough time for me. And I felt like I was losing my normal character, my normal positive self. I was kind of really down. And something that helped me was journaling. I was journaling every morning. getting my thoughts and my feelings out, because it was a place that I felt like I could vent the most. Sometimes you can't always express everything you want to somebody else. So if you feel like you need to write things down, that's something that definitely helped me during a rough time in my life.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, how you feel when things aren't going well, so much of how you respond and react to that, the trickle down effect can be huge because, as I said earlier, everything in life's not going to be perfect. And when things are good, it's easy to be happy and easy for people to want to be around you, and everything just seems fine. But that's not always going to be the case, and very important to be able to get a hold of yourself, and even more important to have people to reach out to share things with, to try and get back on track. Because how we feel has such an impact. How we feel about ourselves reaches out to how other people feel about us, and the more we all can do that, the more peace and togetherness there will always be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one thing, small thing I'll add to the conversation is that I really, similar to you, Gabrielle, I'm like super optimistic. I'm like the positive person, but again, we have our moments, right? And I try to recall why I started, right? Why did I pursue the thing that I'm pursuing? And I look to that oftentimes for the motivation when the job becomes overwhelming or relationship becomes overwhelming. I think it's important to remind yourself why you started and why you do what you do. Because oftentimes, at least for me, it makes it not about me anymore, but it makes it about the folks outside of me, people that are looking to us and that are counted on us and that are learning from our character. So that being said, I will go to question number 2. It looked like this question is from Robert. What are the positive characteristics of a great team? Another great question.
Oh, Sean, do you want to go first?
Okay. Characteristics of a great team: togetherness, everybody pulling in the same direction, everybody having each other's back, doing your job, but also reaching out a little to help someone else do their job if necessary, and someone doing the same for you. Because every Sunday or Monday night, whenever it is, you're playing against another team with really good players, and they're trying to beat you, and you play your best, but having teammates in your corner, having coach, everybody, the trainers, the equipment managers, all those people being positive, pulling together, and all that good together, going one direction, is really the best character a team can have. And most of the time, if the team can accomplish that, you're going to have success. And sometimes that's hard to do because you're talking about 30, 40, 50, 60 different people. And while we're all different on one hand, on the other hand, have to find a way to make it all work together. And the teams that win usually are able to do that.
Yeah, I would agree with what he said. The biggest thing for me is that we are super supportive, positive group of men and women. I know sometimes people look at like cheerleading teams, they might think, oh, there's some cattiness or like girls getting jealous of each other. But I can honestly say that I've never been surrounded by a more supportive group of people. Having each other's back, being honest with one another, I think is a big thing. And being able to take, what is the word I'm looking for? Be able to take like critiques well. Like I'm doing it to help you, like knowing that those types of things, but being positive and being supportive. I actually think those are the biggest 2 things.
Yeah, and I'll chime in. I think also in addition to all the things that have been shared, it's like really a shared common goal that you all believe in, right? It's easy to rally around something that you don't believe in, and it's easier to stay motivated because you're committed to a shared goal, a shared mission, a shared outcome. That's really important to everybody that calls themselves, teammates. So thank you so much for that question. So now we're going to move into the next question. It looks like it's from Noah. What are the character traits that a football player needs? And I'm going to be silent on this one because although I'm wearing a Brian Dawkins jersey, I am not a football player. So I hand it off to the pros.
Well, characteristics of a football player. Number one, you have to have talent to be able to play the game. You have to be very committed to doing the things necessary in order to be successful. And they're not always easy. You want to try to be confident and believe in yourself. Because number one, you have to believe in yourself and your ability before anybody else will. And then after that, it's the other things we've kind of talked about before. Being a good teammate and a good person goes so far. People would be surprised how much that has to do with why some players make a team and others don't. Because you get to a point where everybody's pretty good. Well, why do we keep one guy over another? All these things go into play, but confidence, hard work, dedication, discipline, being a good teammate, a good person. Again, we can't be perfect all the time, but if we strive every day to do everything that we have control over, which is an awful lot, we can't control everything, but we can control a lot. And I always tell myself, if you do what's necessary on your end to give yourself the best chance to succeed, you're probably going to do well. And I think you'll find most really good players, stand by that.
Yeah, so we'll modify for a little bit, Gabriella. So what are the character traits that a good cheerleader needs?
I think a lot of the things that the football players do too. I mean, we need to stay disciplined. It's going back to what you said, like we all have that common goal and we have to keep in mind and remember what our goal is. So staying disciplined when times get tough, not getting, lazy or like, oh, I'm tired and things like that. Staying motivated, and just having that good positive energy that people will feel and people will remember.
Awesome. Thank you both. And with that said, we're going to now move into our fifth and final, looks like, question from the audience. And it reads, what is your advice for coming back to being in person after being virtual for 2 years? And I don't have the person's name, so I apologize for that. But the question once again is, what is your advice for coming back to being in person after being virtual for 2 years?
These are all really good questions, I want to say first. But I would say that I know it's going to be weird going back because you haven't interacted with people this much in a really long time, but maybe just keeping an open mind. And like I said earlier, being vocal, talk to each other, say hi, acknowledge one another, get to know each other again, because we're all in the same boat, right? Everyone's coming back to being in person again. It's not just you. So everyone has that in common. So talk about your shared interests and things like that, and everyone will come back together.
Yeah, that's well said. I think another thing that can happen, which is good, is it can kind of be a little bit of a new beginning for people, where most of us have been away for a year and a half or two, and now that we're getting back out, maybe there's different ways you can go or things you can do that you didn't do before that you think maybe let me try this. Might be a chance to meet new people or try new things, because all of us kind of were put on hold there for a year and a half. And for the most part, we're going to reconnect and continue with most of what we did. But there might be some people or places, something new you may want to try and reach out. And that could be a good thing.
Yeah, and thank you both for those responses. It looks as if that question was from Veterans Memorial. So thank you so much, Veterans Memorial, for that question. So now, we're moving to the last two phases. So this piece here is the challenge. Now, before we go, we want to give each of you a challenge to take back into your life and do today, if at all possible. This challenge is intended to push you a little out of your comfort zone, but also start building that character muscle. So, Gabriella, we're going to put you on the spot and ask you, what is your challenge? And then we'll go to Sean.
I challenge you all to share something about yourself that you think that someone may not know that you want them to know.
Very good. I would say I would challenge everybody to really take stock of where they are right now in your life. Where are you? Are you where you want to be? If you're not, what needs to be done in order for you to get to where you want to be? And sometimes it might be as simple as, with a pencil and paper, writing it down. What do I need to change, or what do I need to do for my life to be more of how I want it? And I challenge everybody to do that. And you may be surprised how a simple thing like that can put you on the way to, having the life that you want to live.
Awesome. And what I'll add to the conversation is do good privately, right? And what I mean by that, I felt as if we live in an era now where whenever someone does something kind or nice, they got to record it and they got to share it with the world. But practice being kind in private and do good for the sake of just doing good and being good. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is all the time that we have for today. But before we close out, I would like to ask both Sean and Gabriella if they have any parting words of wisdom for our wonderful audience today.
I think the one thing that I want everyone to take away from this is, the golden rule: treat each other the way that you would want to be treated, and try to really maintain that good character that I know all of you do have.
That's a great thing you said there. So true, right? I mean, think about it. If we all knew that everywhere we went and everywhere person we talked to was going to be polite, nice, and friendly, just think how much less stress and pressure and problems would exist. Treating people good is so important, not only for yourself, but the trickle-down effect. And try to be the best person you can be. A lot of this was about character. And not only will it improve your life, but silently, you may improve many other people's lives.
Well, thank both of you for your words of wisdom that you were willing to share with the audience. And I want to thank everyone who joined this conversation. I especially would love to thank both Sean and Gabriella, but also want to thank all of you who took time out of your day to learn about character and how to be successful in whatever you decide to do. Our guests are great examples of where hard work can lead you, but remember that success can look different and come across in many different ways. Apologize for stumbling there. So hard work at whatever is important. Work hard at whatever is important to you. Make good choices for your life. And don't forget to help out those around the house. Also, take the ideas and skills you have learned today and put them into action, starting now. Your decisions matter. Work hard, be kind to others, and ask for help if you need it. We know you will all do great things. And so from all of us at the Eagles and United Way's family, stay safe and healthy. And we look forward to staying in touch and working hard to achieve everything that is in front of us. And more importantly, go Eagles.
Go.